What's going on, family? So, been a while since I posted a video. What I wanted this channel to serve as is just a channel and a page where I can kind of be upfront and authentic with you guys as far as everything else that I'm into, right? So this is not just a one niche channel. It's not just my fitness channel, but it's everything encompassing, all things of my life. So one of the questions I get asked mostly these days, especially given the time we're living in, is Mike, you decided to become a teacher, coach. What got you there? What got you to end up, being a teacher, coaching? Was it something you always wanted to do? Or was it something that you chose to do? How'd you end up there? And I thought that was actually a fair question. And honestly, pretty interesting story. So, me teaching goes back to, I would say, really, you have to draw it all the way back to my childhood, right? Remember when you'd be in class and people would always ask, "Oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up?" I really didn't have a clear cut answer, right? I always knew though that everything was about helping people. I was always good at helping people. I was always good at being a peer mentor, things of that nature. I always found a level of joy in human interaction and things of that nature. Even though I had an introverted type of personality, and I still have that now, even. But I always knew, like, okay, in the back of my mind, no matter what it is, it's gonna be towards helping and gearing people towards the right direction. Because I had a lot of people who invested in me and kept me out of trouble, kept me on the straight and narrow path where I could have gone left. They kept me right, and so I just knew that in the back of my head. Now, why did I not start off teaching from the get go, right? Honestly, me being African, I'm Nigerian American. In Nigerian culture and African culture and many immigrant cultures, I would argue that that's really not the most smiled upon profession, right? A lot of it is, oh, you should gear towards NSM, doctor, engineering. And so then me being who I was and trying to be a good son, trying to be a good, member of the culture, I was like, okay, well, I'll try to go that route first, right? So I decided when I got into college, I was going to be a bio major and I was going to try to go to med school and do that whole thing. But then two things kind of happened. One, just the grade, the GPA requirements weren't there. And I always knew that I just didn't want to stay in school for 12 more years. Like the whole idea of, man, you got to do 4 more years of med school, residency, training. I was like, that's not going to work for me. So then I tried different routes. I tried PA, I tried nursing, and nursing almost worked. Nursing, it got to a point though, because I wasn't a nursing major, I decided to major in public health. That was what I got my undergrad degree. And then maybe on another video, I can go into what public health is and why that was actually a good major for me. But basically, it was to the point where I was like, to go back and try to do nursing school for me wasn't in the cards. I was like, again, I have to go back and do all types of schooling, education. So then I was like, and plus I wasn't geared towards wanting to stay in school anyway. I always knew, okay, I was gonna do whatever I had to do to survive, but to be in school and trying to do the NSM route, the med school route, just wasn't where my mind was wired. So what ends up happening is I have a job in public health actually dealing with COVID. I was a case investigator. So all that put simply is you were dealing with COVID and figuring out how COVID was interacting with the world. So this is back in 2020. And I did that for 2 years. And honestly, that was a good job. I was working for the city of Houston. And that was a good intro career. And I thought that was actually a good thing for me, really getting some work experience, be able to add that to my resume. And so then it gave time for me to try to look to do something else. And I was talking to my older brother Bernard, and he was just like, you've always had this mindset of wanting to help people. Why don't you teach and coach? And I remember looking at him and I was like, now, that's what I wanted to do in the beginning. And I'm past that now. He was like, yeah, but you have to understand that times are different now. Teachers honestly make us a stable salary and they need teachers now, which is the case, especially when you get hired on and whenever you talk to people who are in education. One of the main things that are talked about nowadays is teacher burnout and the high turnover of being an educator. And it is definitely the case. I mean, teachers are really, really burnt out. And so, I remember kind of being like, I was past that, but then, trying to be solution oriented, I was like, well, let me just open up any avenues that I could. So what I did was put my applications in, and I got hit back immediately, and I ended up getting hired on at a school here in the city that I grew up in, honestly. So saying all of that, it kind of is a story in which life comes full circle. You go from wanting to do it, but then you let cultural influences say, "No, I should do something else." But then at the end of the day, it all ends up back to, I wanted to help people, and there's no better people to help than the youth of our next generation because, at the end of the day, they are our future. I remember how much coaches impacted me, how much my teachers impacted me. And so for me, it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to take all those lessons that my OGs taught me, I learned from them, and try to impact it onto these next people. And so, definitely being in it, it's been a good experience. It's made me a better person. Having kids that look up to you, who look to you for guidance, is something that gives you purpose and meaning, which I feel like a lot of people have lost. And um, it's a great feeling being able to get up and go somewhere every day where people are looking forward to seeing you. They want to see you. They want you to have an impact on their lives. And so for that, that's part of the good of being a teacher. I mean, obviously the schedule and getting adjusted to it, the stimulation is all things that for people who look at teaching and they say, it's maybe not for me. I mean, those are fair points, but all in all, I always try to take the good from every situation and try to keep on rolling. But obviously, that's just an intro on me getting into teaching. Go into that a little bit more in depth as I start to evolve and I start to go on, make more videos, more content about that, what the day in the life of a teacher looks like, how long I plan to be on teaching, what I plan to do with teaching, what I teach, and all that. But just an intro, and this is just the beginning. We'll catch y'all on the next one.